Hello, everybody. Good morning. Before I jump into this presentation, I would like to share you two stories that I run into, which I would like to frame this today presentation. One is the first story is about two psychologists. I don't know who of you know Danny Kahneman and Amos Tversky. Okay, not too many people. These two guys actually did a really interesting research at the 60s. And these two psychologists were actually, both of them were veterans of the war, of the Second World War. One of them, Danny, was actually a Holocaust survivor. And at the really young age, he started to understand that humans are not rational. So, and at the time, actually, economy was based on the theory that people make choices and decisions based on really rational models. But that's not true. So these two guys were actually started to research how people actually think and make decisions, and they found really profound answers to that. And the outcome is that mostly people make stupid decisions, and these decisions are actually really can be influenced with really small information. One of the key stories that they found is they have a lot of models. One of the models that they found is called anchoring. And anchoring means, in a really simple language, is that people somehow make decisions on the previously saw numbers, and they somehow connect to those numbers. So, just give you an example. If I gave you an opportunity to get a circle and roll it, which has a lot of numbers on it from 1 to 100, and you get a number out of that, like the rolling, and it stops, and it shows you a number like 65. And in the next minute, I ask you to make a prediction about how, if Fidesz and what is the percentage they will win or lose the next election. And actually, your answer will be affected by this random number. So mostly you really can be easily modulated by a really random, simple number. And actually, they found a lot of things like that. A lot of similar stories regarding people behavior, and their work started to penetrate economy. So they actually psychologists, but their influence moved over to economy, and these guys won a Nobel Prize at the beginning of the 2000s, and only one of them, because one of them is died. Then he won the Nobel Prize, and actually they formed a really big economic trend, which is behavioral economics. And the second example that I would like to give to you is really also connected to data. Is just an example. Is that when there are a lot of games where judges make decisions about the outcome of the game, and there are games that are more prone, and there are games that are less prone to errors. And one of the most interesting outcome of this how people use data was at baseball. So in baseball, before the entering of the video judge, there were these really high-profile judges made the decisions regarding the games. And actually, this is a highly competitive environment. So if you want to be a judge in the top league, you have to come from the bottom. You actually have to play and make decisions through a lot of games from university toward the higher, bigger leagues, and you can become to the top. So the really interesting outcome of that story was that when they introduced the video judges into this process, the outcome was that almost 50% of the time when a judge made the decisions, he made the wrong decision. So these top guys with his top performers made a lot of bad decisions in the games. And actually, this is something that I really see similarities in government, in business units, in management. So we make a lot of bad decisions. And actually, the outcome, the opportunity that and actually the opportunity for data, utilizing data in companies and in government is actually, I think this is to help managers, people make less worst decisions. And this is an obligation of the data science community. And I think you may see the things that happen currently. That's something that I see as getting even stronger and stronger. And the second story I would like to frame this presentation is that is another trend. So I came from digital. In the last 16 years, I was working mostly in digital environments, web services, e-commerce sites, digital media, mobile application, and then I came through telecommunication. And what the outcome that I found is that this is what actually previously I saw also in the presentation, that digital media and e-commerce and these kind of webby startups are actually way ahead of their time in regarding if you compare them to any other industries that's out there. So most of the industries doesn't have this this opportunity to analyze and get data from every segment of their operation, from how customers get into the service, how they go through it, what is the outcome, what is the revenues, what is the value. So most of the industries are nearly close to that. It's actually also in telecommunication. I see this example that we have still a lot of room ahead of us to be able to optimize our main core processes to be able to have the same granularity as an e-commerce developer has. But these things starting to change. So what I see currently, and I see it in a lot of industries because we are highly working with those industries, is that because of it's starting to become viable to get sensors in every processes that we currently see out there in the market. So we can be starting to see that there are line license and license technologies starting to become realities, where actually in the upcoming years you will be able to put sensors in every process and every device and every tool that is out there and you use and you put in the market. There's going to be a huge load of data will come in to these new sectors, and these data will be able to give the opportunity to these industries to make, starting to make the same optimization as the digital industry does today. And this is something that's really big. This opportunity and this actually the interestingness of this new trend is, I think it's much more interesting than starting a new web startup which share 111's way of how to do when sharing pictures or something like that. So these industries, I think in the upcoming years, these industries will become also from logistics to agriculture to everything that is currently just at the beginning to transform itself toward digital. This industry will become a really interesting positions to be as a data scientist or as somebody who is understanding how to use data to help people make better judgments. So this is the two story that I wanted to share with you, and I would like to share some information in regarding what did we do in the last few years as a Magyar Telekom to be able to work with data. So as you know, this is not a core business to us. Data is something that we are a connectivity company, so it's really interesting. But actually, how we utilize the data and how we use this data to be able to make new businesses and use this data to optimize our own business is something that is still really quite of an early phase. So so that's why we started this presentation in a way that data for us is a kind of a side product of what we do. So in telecommunication, data is it's a side product. And my first question to this: do you know if what these things are made from? Why is this colors coming from? Where is this coming from? And I will give you the answer. It's coming from an industry. It's a byproduct. So actually in Detroit, in the painting environments, you get a lot of colors out. So it's when they paint the cars, the paintings, it's flowing out. And actually what you get is if you cut these layers out then you can actually get these really beautiful layers. And there are some people out there, factory workers, who get these things out, and actually they make really valuable jewelry out of it. So as an example of a byproduct. How Telekom is doing this? What is Telekom doing? What is our byproducts? What we do? So actually, in the last few years, we started to enter into this utilizing data that we have in our systems, in providing it, and also toward other companies. One of the key examples is footfall analytics. Mostly, I assume you know this kind of footfall analytics services is utilizing the data that is flowing through the position data and the data coming from the mobile devices to be able to help in an anonymized way to help companies to get insight regarding their stores, regarding their train systems regarding. So we can use this information in a lot of industries. So just a few examples that we did in the last year. We started to work with an agency and we helped them understand how foreign people coming into the country, not those who you expect, but the actual tourists who are coming to the country, and help them understand where is the spot which has to be improved for which foreign country visitors. And we started to work with currently with BKV, with BKK, together with Ericsson to be able to help them analyze and maybe optimize their traffic routes, how the transport system is working in Budapest. We also worked with a lot of e-commerce companies who have physical and retail stores, and we started to help them understand how their stores looking like. So what is the environment they are in? What kind of customers are they surrounded by in each store? And actually we helped companies to find their competitors. So there was an actual example, I will not tell you the names, where actually a company came in and he don't want to understand his own shop, he wanted to understand his competitor's shop. Who are the people who are going there? Who are they? What is the trend? Is it a good opportunity to buy those stores, actually? The second example of this side product that we have is a smart campaign. If you see SMS, you started to, it seemed like a boring experience. I can give you some examples of where this SMS story is going. SMS is not going to die in the upcoming years. SMS is seeming like a really boring old legacy technology, but it's currently starting to transform itself through a standard called RCS. And this RCS is actually an IP-based transformation of the SMS service, and it will be able to help, it will be able to make the same kind of messaging environment and experience as currently Messenger and Viber does. It doesn't compete with those guys, so I wouldn't say this SMS business is going to compete with any one of those, but it actually will become a really quite useful and engaging experience when companies can communicate with their customers. So what we currently do is we're optimizing this system at the back end to be able to get anybody who wants to get data out of this system and utilizing location, targeting customers around shops, around experiences. There are also other things that we do. So these are really today problems. One of the problems that we are currently working on is that the Hungarian media industry is measured by companies, and those companies utilizing quite of old, not bad, but quite old technologies to give feedback in regarding how many people are watching the television shows. And actually, this is a 1,000 customer sample, which is really useful if you want to have an understanding of the big channels, which is watched by a lot of people. But the current trend in the media, in TV industry, that the polarization of the channels. So now you have 100 channels, and it's a long tail story, same long tail story as on the web. So actually most of the TV channels are not watched by too many people, but there are a small amount of people who are watching those TV channels that can be really interesting. And the problem for those channels that they cannot tell to their customers who are they. This is not a digital story, so they need information. And what we do is that through our systems, we are trying to get data out to be able to show them that okay, how many people and who are they who's watching those shows that they're providing. We're also getting into, actually, I think currently or a few weeks from now, we are getting into programmatic. Programmatic, you may know the environment. It's actually what digital media try to do against Google and Facebook. So most of the value that's getting in the advertising industry today in Hungary, really huge percentage of that are going to Google and Facebook. And the problem is that it's going to those companies because media companies cannot generate enough data to be able to give more really good optimization or targeting opportunities for advertisers. And so that's why in much developed countries, programmatic rise, and that's a tool that connects advertisers and media providers in a exchange environment, so like in a money exchange or a kind of a stock exchange environment where you can bid for specific locations and you can target those locations at customers who you would like to do. So what are we doing in this business? Actually, Magyar Telekom has a quite a lot of data. So we have a few million customers, and actually we have a lot of information in regarding who they are, and what we do is we providing for this programmatic ecosystem a fully anonymized way these opportunities. So if there are companies out there who wants to advertise for specific age groups, specific gender groups, specific subsets, they can now target those customers without having any privacy issue, because there's full anonymization. Nobody knows who the actual customer is. There is also, we are getting into working with banks in regarding getting more improved fraud management. So the really simple example is that actually when you use your card, most of the time or almost every time you have also your smartphone with you. So there is an opportunity if you're doing an ATM withdrawal, and actually the bank can give you an opportunity to secure your transaction with the question if you are in the country, if you are in that position. This kind of data can be rolled back because it's making those withdrawals more secure. So these are the thing that we are working on. I gave you this example of mass transit route optimization. This is something that we are currently working on to be able to, in specific areas in public transport and in highways, to be able to use telecommunication data to provide opportunities for the companies who operate these environments to be able to make these traffic routes much more optimized in a sense. So what is the outcome? I told you that this Ipar 4.0 or Industry 4.0, that they talk about this whole few really big transformation of all the industries that we are currently living in. And actually, I just wanted to give you an example of how this car industry became a reality. So this was actually a side product. So gasoline. What was first, gasoline or cars? So actually, the gasoline was first. There was an industry who had a side product, which was refinery, and gasoline was a side product of refinery. And actually, when they sometimes they pushed it into the river, and actually when they started to burn, the full river burned for hours or days. And then there was companies who started to realize, like Standard Oil, okay, it can be useful for heating our own in environment. So they started to use this gasoline to heat the refineries. And actually, that was the time when Ford came and created the first mass car that was running on gasoline. And actually, we see that the same with the data currently in specific industries. I can give you this Amazon example, but I would jump on over that. So that's also Amazon Web Services, how it rise. But also I can give you an example of Facebook currently that we saw as a byproduct, or as an example of a byproduct that we're currently starting to utilize. I don't know how, if you are working on a big or small company, I can give you an example that getting a new digital service in a company and to get people to work on those services is almost mission impossible. So people are really avoiding. Everybody loves email. Everybody just wants to work in the old legacy way. And actually changing those customers' behavior is really hard. And actually what Facebook did is that they, as you may know, they translated or copied their current Facebook experience, and they started to provide it to companies. And the outcome is actually really fantastic. So we started to utilize also and tested it also in Magyar Telekom, and actually the adoption rate of this service at the company is really huge. Everybody, almost 60–70% of the customer or the offer customers who jump in onto this platform actually stay there, because it's utilizing the same habitualization techniques as Facebook does. So you get messages, you get mails, you get new information every day. So it's a really interesting example of a side product that actually maybe it will generate a huge amount of money for Facebook. Actually, it's so for me, it seems like they're getting around $2 per customers per month. And actually, the opportunity for Facebook for this, if almost like only 10 or 20% of the human population, not just using personally Facebook, but using Facebook for work at work, it's a few $billion opportunity per year for them. So I would say this is us. This is what Telekom doing with data as a side product. I think what we are currently doing, what we are currently developing, we are now introducing an NB-IoT service in Hungary, which will be able to get a lot of sensors on the market. We are working on these data services. I think the upcoming years will be really, really interesting. And I think for the data, for the upcoming years, I think more and more alertness and view will move away from the digital standalone digital ecosystem, and will move forward much more to the legacy environments. Those really big energetics, logistics. These kind of things will be transferred in the upcoming years in a really, really transformative way. And I think those opportunities and those stories will become much more valuable than what we currently see in the digital environment. And I think most of you, I would advise everybody to go that direction and help companies transform themselves and help these industries transform, because it's not and again 1-2% optimization opportunity. It's much more and much bigger. So thank you very much. Have a nice day. Oh yes, one more thing. If I'm here, if you would like to discuss what we do, I'm happy to connect. But before I'm leaving the stage, I would like to. So we're not just working on our own. We have don't have too much data scientists in the company. So what we do is actually we are running data hackathons regularly to be able to get talents out and finding guys who want to work with us and wants to work with our data. And actually we invite them to work with us. We make business with them, and this is something that we would like to do regularly. And actually we are already after our 2 official hackathons, and one of them was won by Dynamikus Duo, which was the last year winner, and the second one is Teletubbies, who won this year hackathon. And I would like to invite them to the stage to speak.